Hello, it is finally time to go through my Storygraph reading wrap-up. For those of you who are new, hello, welcome. I read a lot, mainly audiobooks nowadays, and I track everything. I used to track everything on Goodreads, and then a number of years ago I moved over to Storygraph, A, because of the statistics, and B, I don't know why B. I think it was just more like the up-to-date version, and then C, I found out that it's like an independently owned thing, whereas Goodreads is owned by Amazon, so it's just better. But that's not why I moved, I just learned that later. And basically it lets you input any book that you've already read in the past or any book that you're currently reading. It lets you input the format, so if it's an audiobook, an ebook, a regular physical book, and then you can track sort of what page number you're on or how many hours you're into listening. And at the end of the year, it gives you a beautiful wrap-up that I have not had a look at yet. Now, I think last year, if I remember correctly, I read something like 70 books, which is ridiculous. I reckon this year, I'm gonna say my average was probably 3 books a month, and then I read a little bit more, obviously, in December, so that would be about 40 books. I reckon we probably got to 52, realistically. I think it'll be somewhere between 40 and 55, that's what I'm expecting. And I think I primarily read audiobooks. I read half a physical book, I think. Oh no, one full physical book, that was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and then half of one which was Dutch. But I never got to finish it because I left it in Australia. And I don't think I had too many rereads. I accidentally reread a Christmas book, the Christmas Love Letters. But aside from that, I don't think I had that many rereads. So I'm gonna grab my laptop and we're gonna have a look together. I'm very excited. This is like my favorite thing about Storygraph, and it's my favorite part of the year. And I've been putting it off because of YouTube. It's already the 11th of January. No, the 12th even. Yeah, so I've waited almost 2 weeks to do this just for you. I hope you appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna go get my laptop. Yee. All right, so this is my homepage. I'm currently reading Wicked and I'm 80% through, and I'm very much enjoying it, although this last bit is very different to what I was expecting. But so far it's not been as dark as I thought it would be. You know, I have been wanting to read this book for, I'd say, over 10 years, and everyone's always told me how dark it is and, you know, how gruesome. And like, yeah, there's bits that are not nice, but it doesn't feel as horrible as I was expecting. But anyway, where do I find my wrap-up? Here we go! Yay, here we go! Wow, I did exactly 52. Do you know what? I am quite pleased with that. I wasn't actually sure, and I didn't plan that. But 52 always used to be my goal because I always wanted one a week, and I used to never reach it, and then obviously last year was very much an exception. So to have reached exactly 52 this year last year is very satisfying. 1,180 pages and 517 hours. Now my first book, I'm just trying to see if I can guess what it is from that yellow. Is it The Rose Code maybe? Was that my first one of last year? Yes, it was, and let me tell you, that was a gorgeous book. I still think about it. Highly, highly, highly recommend. And then my last book was Keep the Memories, Loot the Stuff, which I actually don't think I spoke about very much. I don't even know if I mentioned it. I think I didn't mention it in my December reviews because I think I must have forgotten to add it to my list. This book I thought would be really helpful for me because I am a very sentimental person and I do hold on to a lot of stuff. But I think it would be far more helpful if I was actually needing it when I'm moving or whatever. But I read it just a little bit too late, so it wasn't applicable to me, and I just couldn't quite connect to it. But I do see that it could be a good book. By the way, before we continue, my guess for my average rating is 3.5, maybe 3.75. All right, let's keep going. Mood map. I never know what this means. What did I read in July and August that brought it down so much? And what did I read at the start of the year that brought it up so much? Curious. Also, that horrible sound is my laptop. It's not faring very well at the moment. You indulged in cheerful amusements, set off on thrilling quests, and traversed landscapes of the heart. The narratives flowed at a comfortable, engaging tempo. Yeah, whenever they ask me the tempo of the book, I almost always say medium. So this is really funny for my pages read. I don't know what I read in January, 231 pages. I have no idea what book I read physically. And then obviously here in October, that is 100% the lives of the husbands of, what's it called? The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Although I don't think it was 571 pages, so I don't know if there was something else I read there. Oh, that was my Dutch book as well. And then what did I read in December physically? I don't remember reading anything physically. Oh, I think there was one book that actually was an ebook rather than a page, like physical. But you can see my books read spiked completely up here. And of course, that was my 10 books apparently in December. I thought it was 9, but it was 10. And my minutes are just like all over the place. Although again, November, December, you can see really sort of went up. And I mentioned, I think in my December reviews, I think my working more in December meant I had more commuting time, which meant I read and listened to more books. The genres you spent the most time with in 2024. Interesting that romance is at the top, and that's probably mostly the Christmas books, I think. Because very often romance can grate on me a little bit because I just don't fully understand it a lot of the time. Sometimes I really love it, but a lot of the time I just don't get it. Next is fantasy, which is really interesting because I have no idea what I read in the fantasy realm last year. I can't remember anything. Oh, I think I read the, what's it called? Bones and something, City of Bones series. Was that last year or the year before? If it was last year, then that would make sense as to the fantasy and the young adult. And then contemporary and historical. I love historical works. Yeah, there we go. It was the Mortal Instruments series that I read. Completely forgot I did that last year. I can't believe it was 20 hours and 38 minutes. That's mental. I don't remember it feeling that long, but obviously it was. How long is Wicked? I think Wicked's about the same. Yeah, just under 20 hours. Wow, so that's even longer than... That can't be right. Oh, that doesn't seem right at all. I don't remember that. Shortest book, of course, was this one. Yes, I mentioned this one in my December reviews and guessed that it was about 2 hours long, so I remembered that correctly. Average length of the books was 392 pages, which is actually more than I would have thought, and it took around 5 days to finish each book. That is surprising. And I think December may have pushed that number down, because I would say probably at least a week. I only spent 1 day on the Double Trouble Society. When did I read that? I do think it was pretty short, though. And I spent the most time on Magnus Chase, The Sword of Summer. I forgot I read those as well. I read all the Nordic ones. That would add to fantasy. Oh, and that's why I've got romance. Julie Kaplan, of course. Completely forgot about that. So, Julie Kaplan, I started reading, I think it was in October, I believe. And I really enjoyed the first. It was just a really light, easy read. And so I just continued to read the rest of the sort of series. They're sort of all in the same world, but you don't need to have read the first to read the third or the seventh. And they weren't all as good as each other, but I still enjoyed it. Cassandra Clare, obviously, is the Mortal Instruments. And then Ragnar Jonasson is, I can't pronounce that name, I'm really sorry. That's the trilogy I read in December that I loved. Really, really good. And they've written another series, so I might see if I can get my hands on that. Average rating, 3.8. Okay, a little bit higher than I thought. Yeah, loads of 3.75s. Loads. I even had a 4.5. I had 4.5 books. Can I click into it? No, I think that's later. At some point you can click into it. And I had one 2.5 and one 2.75. One of those is going to be the Countdown to Christmas. I don't know what the other's going to be. May, my highest average rating was 4.08, and January wasn't my favourite month with an average of 3.58. Still not that low. And I read the most in October, although I think realistically that's probably because I was on a plane, and so I listened to a lot. And I think that was Julie Kaplan as well. I'm fairly certain. The most shelved was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I rated that 4.5. That was a great book. And the least shelved is one that doesn't even have a picture. Poppy's Christmas Cracker. Interesting. The highest rated was The Happiest Man on Earth. Wow. Oh yeah, I read a lot of Second World War books this year. A lot. But that was a good book, so fair enough. I explored the works of 27 new authors, including Lee Russell, Julie Kaplan, and Gillian McAllister. That's a name that really rings a bell, but I can't remember why. 23 of the books I read were part of a series. I forgot I read The Book of Dust as well, and that whole series. Did I read the whole series? I can't remember, actually. I definitely read that book. You revisited a total of 2 books this year. What was the second? Oh, maybe The City of Bones. Oh, now I can see it. Yeah, it was City of Bones. Can I go back up to the 4.5s? No, it won't let me click on them yet. I finished all of the books I picked up this year. No DNFs. That's not totally true because I didn't finish the Dutch book, which is a shame. I didn't own any of the books I read this year. That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. Love using a library. 2024 at a glance. Oh, I forgot I read The Secret of Platform 13. Secrets was also a fantastic book. Definitely one of the top of the year. I am going to do a book ranking separately at some point. No, it looks as though I didn't read the rest of the Book of Dust series. Maybe I just didn't enjoy it enough. Wow, just another missing person. I don't remember that being Gillian McAllister. Lessons in Chemistry was also really good. Yeah, and then we've got all the Julie Kaplans. I don't feel like this is in order, to be honest. The Last Lifeboat was also really good. Interesting. Explore the stats. Here we go. Oh, look at all these moods. So yeah, lighthearted definitely is the biggest. I like my lighthearted stuff. Adventurous, that's probably all the like series, fantasy things. Emotional, interesting, mysterious. I do like mystery. Although a lot of the mystery books I read this year weren't quite scratching the itch for me. Reflective, interesting. I always put reflective very often anyway in books. Dark, inspiring, informative, funny, interesting. Pace, yeah, so 2/3 of it was medium, and then some slow, some fast. Wow, that's really equally split, 1/3 of each. What was 500 plus? What? Okay, but it wasn't really because that was a large text edition. Why is it only counting one of each? Is it only counting physical books? It must be. Oh, that was an ebook as well, I forgot. Audiobook length, that's the one we want. So again, 2/3 was between 8 hours and 16 hours. 16 hour plus 3. Oh, okay, the ones from the Mortal Instruments and Secrets. And then less than 8 hours, 12. 20% non-fiction, not bad. Would have liked better, but not bad. Middle grade is probably all the fantasy ones. Yeah, historical's up there. Crime. LGBTQIA+, I don't remember reading that many. Well, it's only 2. Oh, fair enough. Okay, and Ship of the Dead. Okay, interesting. It's kind of like, I wouldn't really classify it as those. And it's interesting it says only 1 education, when a lot of the non-fiction books I read, I would say were educational as well. Oh well. Format, yes, 94% audio. Most read authors, Rick Riordan, fair enough, and Taylor Jenkins Reid. Yes, I did read 2 of her books. Why has that split? I don't know. And that's not even true, because one of the books I read was in Dutch, so you're wrong. Although I didn't finish it, so maybe you're right. We saw that already. Here we go. Now we can click into it. What was 4.5? 4 books. It's so many. I can't believe I gave The Little Cafe in Copenhagen 4.5. Like, yeah, it was nice, but was it really worth that? 7 Husbands is fair. Lessons in Chemistry is also fair. Last Lifeboat, also fair. And then what's my 4.25? Really? The Mortal Instruments, interesting. Librarian of Auschwitz as well, also interesting. Daisy Jones, fair enough. Another Mortal Instruments. Thinking 101, really? That high? I'm shocked. Strange. Oh yeah, and then what were these? Oh, this, I can barely even remember, but I remember finding it incredibly frustrating to read. And this is definitely going to be the countdown, yeah. And I'm kind of curious about my 3-star reads, because it's small. Oh yeah, I forgot about Fairy Tale of New York. That was a strange one. Poppy's Christmas Cracker, fair enough. And Fierce Self-Compassion, which, again, I can barely remember. All right, well, there you go. Those are the books I read this year and the statistics. I love it. Let me know if you have any book recommendations, because I'm always looking for more, especially non-fiction. I always am wanting to read more non-fiction. And as I said, I will be doing a ranking at some point soon, and that might not totally reflect what it says on here, because that was what I put in as soon as I finished reading them, and maybe with a bit of a reflection we'll move things around. But that's everything. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you shortly in another video. Bye!